This is the Sports Sit Down with Mike Damergis.
In this sports history class, we go through basically the annals of sports. And this week we watched a documentary about the 85 Bears, the two Bills,
Oh,
uh, Elway DeMarino, and Joe Namath. So now you played against the 85 Bears. You played against Elway, Marino, Montana, Jim Kelly. And of course, you played for two of the most historic coaches in NFL history, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, of course, is making news again today as far as him maybe sitting out the year. What can you tell us about both coaches?
well, first of all, thanks for having me. Secondly, both of them are very bright. I mean, Parcells, you knew exactly what you got from him. He was hard, but he was fair. There was no missing of words, and you probably saw a lot of stuff on video about him. But Bill Parcells was a guy that you knew you stood. There was no ambiguity. You were there, and once you did your job, he would praise you in a very different way than other coaches would. But you knew he liked you. Um, as far as Belichick, here's the guy. Bill Belichick was a genius, and we knew that. I knew that when I first got to do with the Giants. His attention to detail was uncanny. We'll practice. We'll go through practice, and all of a sudden, he'll throw in a situation, and it's all scripted, and we're going. Well, we don't see this on film. This team we're playing, they're not doing this, but he would throw it in there anyway. He goes, just in case. Because I remember back, you know, 20 years ago, so and so and so. He'll give you the lineage of where this came from. Well, this guy's dad coach here, and they coach against Army, and he'll bring it all out. Then we're playing in the game, and this play comes up, and we're ready for it. But that's what Belichick does. Very smart.
I always got the sense that Bill Parcells was more the motivator, and as you're alluding to here, Belichick's more the X's and O's guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, Belichick was a great motivator, and I mean, he motivated through his mind. He was smart, so he got that. But Parcells will motivate you in ways that that get you. You'll literally run through a brick wall for him. And there's some ways Bill Parcells could. He knew exactly how to touch certain players, right? He knew what to say to motivate you, and there were some guys he had to do that with. But Parcells was hands down the best coach I've ever coached, I've ever played for in my 13 years.
So you joined the Giants in 1986, second round pick. Year before the Giants made the playoffs, 10-6, lost to the Bears. And I talked to a lot of players, Carl Banks, Maurice Carthon. They felt like that loss to the Bears showed them they needed to be a little bit tougher. What was the mindset going to camp for you in 1986?
Well, I knew when I was going to camp, just reading off the guys who were there the year before, uh, there was it wasn't added pressure. I'm gonna put it that way. I think it was some added motivation to get to that level because I think in talking to Carl and Lawrence and those guys, even the coaches, they knew that to be an elite team like the Bears were and any Super Bowl champion, you had to raise it up quite a bit a notch. So that I felt that when I went to camp, and by me going to camp, coming out of Cal State Fullerton, not knowing that situation, knowing other situations, but being indoctrinated into it, and then building on what I need to do to get to that level to match those guys, to be a starter on that '86 defense. I got it. There was no, I'm basically drinking from the fire hydrant. That's what I was doing, and I did it and made it work. And we matched that energy that I guess that Chicago had the year before, and we did it the following year and got the Super Bowl win.
As you look back all those years ago, it's almost 40 years ago. It's hard to believe, but you look at the Giants record 17-2, 14-2 during the season, but things weren't easy for you guys at that point. You were 7-2 at one point, I believe, and just lost to Seattle, and there wasn't the guaranteed path to the Super Bowl like it appears as you look back. Is that correct?
Well, there was never a guaranteed path. We knew we were good. Um, After the opening loss to Dallas, Bill Parcells ripped us pretty good because every periodical had us going to the Super Bowl, right? And I guess some of the guys, and I don't know, kind of we did read the magazines a little bit there, and we lost the game, and then we won like 6, 7 in a row. Then we went to Seattle, lost that game, and it was a close game. I mean, should have won, could have won, but didn't win. But after that, after we got back, we won. Now, like I said before, Michael, we knew we were good, and we weren't very flashy, very pretty, but we were very effective, and we got the job done. And that I give that to our coaching staff. We had one of the best coaching staffs in NFL history, if you ask me.
And you had some really tough games. I'll never forget the Monday night game. You came from behind to beat the 49ers. Of course, everybody who thinks of the Mark Bavaro carrying Ronnie Lott. There was a Minnesota game,
Yeah.
the 4th and 19, and the game against the Broncos, who you see in the Super Bowl, with George Martin returning the ball back for a touchdown. All very tough games. Nothing, it wasn't an easy path. You guys had a battle, and your toughness just grew going into the playoffs.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. Having a great regular season, it ain't easy. It's not. You're going to have some luck in there, and then going on to the playoffs in the Super Bowl, some of that is luck as well. Some of it is luck and it's great breaks, and we had some very, very good breaks. You mentioned San Francisco playing with the Bavaro. We came back at halftime and won that game in San Francisco. Minnesota, 4th and 17. Phil Simms throws a great pass to Bobby Johnson. We win that game on a raw Allegre field goal. Then the George Martin interception for a touchdown. Denver was going in to score, and probably they played well too that game, and we scored a touchdown there. We win. Sometimes that stuff happens, and I think we were battle tested, so we went through the ups and downs, and we made up pretty well that '86 season.
And in 81 and 84, the Giants were on the road. They lost to the 49ers both times at the road. Certainly, admittedly, the 84 49ers were one of the best teams of all time. But 86, you got them at home, and you showed them what Giant football was about, knocking Joe Montana out of the game and crushing him 49-3.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we could beat them in San Francisco. They know we could beat them. They know it too. They knew they couldn't beat us. We matched up well with San Francisco, I think better than any other team from the NFC East because we were more physical. I know Philadelphia had physical defense. I know the Redskins have physical defenses, but we really matched up with them well. And we knew when they came in, all we had to do was get them hard enough, do play giant football, run the ball at them, knock the receivers around. We'll take care of business, and we did.
Yeah, of course, you beat them during the season '86 and the playoffs in '86 as well. And then 1990, you went and beat them. In '85, the Giants beat them as well. So, one of the most prolific offenses of all time. What was it about your defense that you were able to control San Francisco and hold them, keep them off the board? Because Joe Montana, they talk about one of the best of all time. And, how were you able to do that?
Well, just matchups. And my task was to limit Jerry Rice to big plays. So that was my task. And the coaches, Parcells tell you, Belichick tell you, goes, hey, Mark, we'll start the week like this against San Francisco. Team meeting will walk in, and offense, defense there, and Bill will go. Parcells will go, okay, we got San Francisco. He goes, Collins, you got Rice. And that was it. And then you start talking about what we're going to do. And then we break up offensive defense, and then Belichick would go, okay, guys, we got San Francisco, Collins, you got Rice. And then we start talking about implementing the defense, what we're going to do. Now that when a coach does that to you in front of your rank and file, both coaches, that lets you know they have confidence in you, me. And as we implemented the playbook, game plan, and we knew what we had to do, our confidence was sky high because we knew we could do what they wanted us to do. Match up, no big plays, eliminate the big plays from the best receiver, and be very physical. And we did that very well. We were good at it.
Well, so much so you knocked Montana out in 86 and 90. When you knock Montana out and Jim Burt laid the lick on him, then later on Leonard Marshall in 1990. Was that the intention? You're not allowed to hit quarterbacks anymore like that anymore. But was that the intention for the game? Or and you were inflicting the defensive will on the 49ers?
No, the intention is not to knock anybody's quarterback out. The intention is to be as physical as possible. And if the quarterback gets hurt in the confine of the rules of the game, that's just how it is. And when we got Joe the first game and the second game in 90, legal hits, no cheap shots, none of that stuff. Now the Jim Burt, we call that a cheap shot on Hostel because it was. I know Jim, but because he went for his knees. But no, we were very physical. We knew what we had to do, and we hit Joe legally, and we got him, and we won both of those games, so it worked out.
Yeah, when I talked to Leonard Marshall about it, he said we were known as the Montana Killers. After the 49er win, NFC Championship, windy day at Meadowlands, classic game of the Meadowlands in the history. You guys shut out the Redskins 17-0, and there was a confetti parade in the stadium and everything. What do you remember about that? And you're a rookie. You didn't have to go through the previous years. I mean, what do you call your emotions as you're getting ready after winning the championship and then going on to the Super Bowl? What do you remember about that?
Well, I mean, coming back and playing the NFC Championship game at the Meadowlands was awesome because, once again, that whole week and you're through the media, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. And our Redskins games that year were pretty close. I think we won by 3 points on both of them, I do believe. But, it's tight. But Washington, another situation. We knew the Redskins were good. Washington was very, very good. I think that year they won 12 games, I think. They won double-digit games. But we knew, and they knew, that they couldn't beat us. And we went out there and shut them out and all the confetti and stuff flying around. That was a great feeling. And we still felt that we didn't play our best. We played very, very good, don't get me wrong. But, man, that was a great feeling beating the Redskins at home and then, going out to Pasadena. It was awesome.
That first half against the Broncos in the Super Bowl, Denver was able to move up and down the field, but some nice plays by you guys on defense held Denver to 10 points. Rich Karlis missed a field goal as well. That game turned around quickly. Talk about your adjustments you had to make in the first half as Denver was moving the ball.
Well, we started that game defensively. I started that game at a safety position. We had 5 defensive backs, and we had 2 quarterbacks. I think Herbie Welch and Kenny Hill on the outside safeties. And that was like a middle safety, like a rover, because we want to take away all those dig routes that we could throw, 40 yards down the field, 50 yards down the field. So we tried to take it away. But they moved the ball pretty effectively, which we knew they could do because they did that against us the first game. But same as the game we played them early in the season, we have to eliminate the big splash plays. Because they had some good receivers and they could do a lot of things with the receivers and Gerald Wilhite at running back. They had a great program in tight ends. So we knew we could feel like they did. But once we stopped them and missed a field goal, and we went to the locker room, Parcells said to the team, "Hey, we took their best shot. That's it." And we walked off the field, go to the locker room, and he said that. But you could kind of feel Denver felt the same way because they were deflated going into the locker room. We knew it. They missed a couple of opportunities. And we came out, and the adjustments we made were minuscule on the defensive side. Because we have them 10 points. The offense has really revved it up. I mean, they done some good things that we didn't do, and I never seen all year. Have the flea flicker and stuff like that. We didn't run that all year, but we do it in the Super Bowl. So, but we really did the things that on defense that we know we could do, and the offense revved it up a little bit and made some plays and scored 39 points.
Well, I could tell you this as someone, I grew up a Jet fan, but I also have a lot of family.
Oh my goodness!
I know
Oh,
we'll get into that later. So, but my friends and family that were Giant fans, they felt the pain of over 20 something years of not winning a championship. Even longer than that, more than 20 years, going back to the 1950s, winning championship, but their first Super Bowl and suffering those 20 plus years without even going to the playoffs. And what you guys did was a gift to New Yorkers, and it made everybody's lives better, at least for that day and the days after that. So on behalf of them, I want to thank you for them, because I remember how distinctive it was watching you guys celebrate. And what was it like to be on the field celebrating the Super Bowl championship?
oh man, that's cool. It's cool. Both of them were cool. It's beyond words. It is cool because all the work and all the sacrifices that you put in, and this is what people don't understand. And the sacrifices, it's not just little things. I'm talking about you missing. You, I was raised in Southern California, and I'm working in New York, New Jersey. So I'm missing birthdays. I'm missing my brothers and sisters' birthdays. I'm missing stuff like that. It's sacrifices. And then it all comes to an end, and you win it. And the first thing I'm thinking about is I'm going to ring, and you think about all the things that you missed, all the things you had to put aside for this. And I would tell you, ask anybody who ever won a championship, it's worth it. It's worth it because it doesn't happen very often. And if you got one, cool. If you got two, even better. You keep stacking those rings, it's better, better, and better. But to do it once, if you've done it once, it's worth the sacrifices.
Everybody thought you'd come back in '87. Then you had the players strike. The Giants lost all 3 games with the replacement players.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor had his issues off the field. '88, you lost that game to the Jets. We won't talk about that. The last game of the season,
Yeah.
the touchdown.
We can talk about it. We can talk about it.
Well, that was the last game for Harry Carson, pretty much. That was Harry Carson's last game. George Martin's last game.
Yeah.
They retired after that. But people forget the Rams and 49ers were playing on a Sunday night, and the 49ers didn't play their starters and basically threw the games, and the Rams made the playoffs, and you didn't because they didn't want to face you. How much did that bother you guys?
Of course. Oh, but that's how it is. I mean, I would have done the same thing. I mean, if a team has my number, I'm not. Wait a minute. We don't want to play that team. They beat us a lot. So yeah, I get it. And we were 10-6 that year. We didn't make the playoffs. But that game against the Jets, that was the '88 season, and I had a hernia that I got against the Cowboys, and I played through it by 3 games. It was hurting. I mean, I played through the pain, but I just couldn't tolerate it anymore. And then, long story short, I missed the game against the Jets. And if I would have been in there, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Al Tune's not catching the ball. I'm telling you right now, he's not catching that touchdown.
Al Tune is a pretty good receiver.
Because that would have been my guy.
Oh, really?
And I'm telling you, I'm telling you.
All right, I believe you.
I'm just saying.
You had a game earlier in the year against the 49ers, who were up 17-13, and then there was a busted coverage on Jerry Rice to end the game. What happened on that coverage there?
Which one? 88?
88, yeah. You lost to the 49ers at home. You were with just under 2 minutes to play, and there was a final bomb that Montana connected with Rice for 80 yards, and this kind of busted coverage. I'm not sure if you ran into one of your.
No. What happened was this. I was we're in cover 2, and I jammed Jerry pretty good. I jammed him real good, and I got him wide. And I turned and looked, and the ball was coming, and I had Jerry by the jersey, and then Kenny Hill had a bad angle and knocked me off of Jerry, and Jerry gets a touchdown. And that was a great throw, great catch. And I mean, you got to give the Caesar on that one. I mean, you can't stop those guys all the time, even though
you stopped them. You stopped them most of the time, though.
Yeah, I played against Jerry Rice in my 8 years in New York. And then 1 year, I guess I'm in Kansas City. I gave up 1 touchdown.
Wow.
and that was a touchdown that gave up.
Wow.
So I hang my hat on that. So
So 88 Giants don't make the playoffs in 87, 88, despite having a great team in 88 and 89, 12-4 team. And
yeah,
you have a lead against the Rams at home, an unseasonably warm day in January for New York. And the Rams beat you in overtime. That was a bit of a shock to you
yeah, and the Rams kind of had our numbers a little bit too, if I remember correctly. So I remember like we should have won we should have won a Super Bowl in 89, 90. We should have. And I venture to say if we didn't have a strike in 87, we had a good team, we could have done it again. I conceivably should have walked away from the Giants with 4 rings, but I digress. But the Rams, we played them pretty well. And on the last in overtime, they called a controversial pass interference on Sheldon White. I mean, it was what it was. So right before that, I think I'm covering.
I'm sorry, broke up. Broke up, Mark.
And he gets the ball, and it was my right ankle. I slipped and I felt a crack. And I'm like, man. So I tried to walk it off, and I was taped pretty well. My spat was pretty high, and it just got worse and worse. So I'm still playing on this ankle. We're in overtime, and I'm going, hey, the Rams are running the ball and stuff. They didn't went no huddle. And I talked to Jim Everett after this, and Flip ran and said, we're all good friends from the same area. So we're talking, he said, oh, Ernie Zampese was in the booth. He goes, hey, Collins is hurt. Let's go. So I get up there. I'm trying to play off. So I look on the sideline, and Bill Belichick goes, hey, come on, bump around. I'm like, so I go and bump Flipper Anderson. So I'm in bump coverage. I had a good jam on him. And I jam, and I'm still running. And I'm right there, and Jim Everett throws a perfect pass. Touchdown, he runs into the tunnel. Game over. I get up. I just walk right in and go to the locker room. Well, game's over, whatever. And I go into our medical staff for an X-ray and stuff. Comes out, well, you broke your ankle. I didn't know it was broke. I said, oh, okay. So I go out to my locker. I showered first, and I go out to my locker with my towel and my robe and stuff. And the New York media, right? There must have been like 500 media people around my locker. So, and I answer all the questions, blah, 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 whatever. I answer every question until exhaustion, until they all left. So, put my clothes on. I go home. A few days later, I'm on a plane, go back to Southern California. I get like 10 phone calls. And they go, because so everything's on paper now, except what I didn't mention. So I think it was Steve Serby called, George Wills called, I think Gary Myers called. All these guys are calling. They're going, why didn't you mention that you broke your ankle 5 plays before that? So I said, why? Who really cares? Is that a story? I gave you what you want. The guy beat. Guy made a touchdown. Didn't really matter. Yeah, I broke my ankle, but there's no excuse. So all these guys said, like, you know what? That's pretty big time for you not to mention it. Well, because to me, it really didn't matter. That's not what I think the story was. The story was, to me, we didn't win. They did. And if we would have won, I couldn't play the next week anyway. I'm done. I couldn't play because my ankle's broken. So that was the story.
So going in, what did Parcells say after the game was over? Because it's a tough home loss there. What's a mind?
There was nothing. There was nothing. That was it. There's nothing worse. There's nothing you can really say after a game like that. Yeah, you had your chances. this call, that call, we got to do what better, whatever. Okay, guys, that's it. Okay, I mean, when you lose in the playoffs, the finality of it is final. That's it. There's no practice tomorrow. There's no let's go have a beer and talk about it. No, it's over. It's final. You go home and you think about what you've done. You think about, will you be back? Well, I ain't worried about me, but some players think about, well, I'm going to be back on the team next year, stuff like that. But I went home after that game, and because I lived in Southern California at the time, and some of the stuff that was coming out in the papers about me, well, I really took it personally. So I made a conscious effort to do a lot of the local TV shows in the Los Angeles area, going to our 1990 season, and rehabbed very strenuous with the Dr. Job and got my ankle together and stuff, and I really got in shape, not just physically. I'm always in shape physically, but mentally. And I made a conscious effort because I knew the Rams were going to be on our schedule. I made a conscious effort. Everybody we play is going to be the best. I'm going to be the best I can that day. Not that I wasn't the years before, but I really focused in. I use that stuff as motivation. And even though that year in '89 I made it all pro, but so no, I really focused on some of the stuff I was reading in the newspapers over the country and here in the Los Angeles area in Kansas.
So you have to start going to training camp 1990, and you got to go through it all again. You had a mission. Did the other players on the team have a mission as well to get it done? Because players starting to get a little bit older, a little more fatigued, and everything like this. Maybe the last hurrah for some of them. Was that kind of the mindset in 1990? Though we got to get it done this year.
No, the mindset was we left food on the table. That was it. We had a good team in '89, and we had unfinished business, and we knew we could do it. And we came out like gangbusters. We came out 10-0. We knew we were good. We went to training camp with the focus of not just making the playoffs. And very few teams going to, and maybe now you see it more often now. You look at Kansas City. And I'm a Chiefs ambassador, so I'm with the organization. These guys go into camp, and we're going to the Super Bowl. That's their mindset. That happens more so now than it did back then. Because back in the days when I played, it was harder because you had to build your team through the draft. And we didn't have free agency. So now you can put a team together and have a run like the Lions did, because got the Super Bowl real quick. Back in the days in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, well, 90s, for free agency, you had to build through the draft. So going to training camp in 1990, we knew we had a great nucleus of guys who could still get the job done. And as I said, we had unfinished business. So going to camp, that was our focus. A few added pieces, and we started off 10-0 and had a hiccup in Philly. But after that, we lost to San Fran 7-3. But we were set. We were good, and we knew it.
As we say in journalism, you're burying the lead, though. Phil Simms got hurt, and you had to win a Super Bowl with a replacement player, Jeff Hostetler. How'd that affect the team? And did you guys have confidence in Jeff that he could get the job done for you guys?
Oh yeah, Michael, check this out. So Phil gets hurt against Buffalo. And House comes in. We almost won that game. We lost 17-13, something like that. And that following week, going to practice, I know I did. And I know Lawrence did. I know Pepper did. I know Carl Banks did. I think Leonard did. Almost every player on the defense, that starting defense, went up to Jeff and said, dude, we got you. You're all right. You're fine. Just go do your thing. And I know I said this. I think a couple of the guys said this. Jeff, just get us 20 points. Get us 20 points. We'll do the rest. That was our defense. Get us 20 points. We'll do the rest.
And Jeff did a great job, of course, leading you to the playoffs. And round
Oh,
one, you took on the Bears. Defense had a big goal line stand against Chicago, but you took care of the Bears. I think it was 31-3, something like that. So the Giants got struck even with the Bears in that game. And then after that, you went out to San Francisco, and what a thriller. There's no words to describe that NFC Championship game. The hits that went on, the hit on Montana that Leonard Marshall played, the fumble of Craig, Steve Young had to come in and take over, and you guys won it in the waning seconds.
yeah.
The Matt Barr field goal. Talk about that and talk about the highs and lows of that game. People didn't give you guys a chance, really.
Oh, no, they did. Well, I'm going to tell you, back to Jeff. Jeff was in the perfect situation, the perfect place at the perfect time. And he had the support not only from his teammates and the defense, but the whole organization. We believe in Jeff. Jeff, let's go. We got you. Let's go. So we go out to San Francisco, and that was probably that whole stretch of games, Chicago, San Fran, and Buffalo. That was a tough gauntlet. I think it rivaled. I think it was maybe the '83 Raiders when they did as a wild card, but that stretch was something. So back to San Francisco, we knew we could beat San Francisco. They knew it as well. Take away the big play, take the guy away, take away the big plays, be physical, and we did it. And the offense, no turnovers. We had to do a fake punt, which is fine. Once again, that's us. We do stuff like that and keep the game close. We were conditioned to win close games. Lost earlier that year, San Francisco 7-3. That game could have went either way. We like it like that. We're not blowing anybody out. We're not built to blow anybody out. We're built to keep it close, blood to your nose, and go home with a win. San Fran wasn't used to that. So that's what we did. Now, Chicago, that was a different deal we did in Chicago, but we did enough to beat them anyway. So that was wonderful. Then, being San Fran, then the plane ride going to Tampa. Let me back up about the San Francisco game because there's a funny story in this. So we beat San Francisco, and we're going to the Super Bowl. So we're happy. And missed the field goal. Oh, yeah, cool. We make the field goal. All right, we got the field goal. Good. And we're happy as hell. And we're going to the locker room. And John Bon Jovi is standing in the locker room. He gives me a high five. We're talking and stuff. I go into the locker room, and I get tackled from behind. Fine. Who is this? I get up. It's Gregory Hines. So Gregory Hines he grabs me. He goes, "Do you know what you just did? Do you know what you just did? You shut him out again. You shut him out again." He's grabbing me, and I'm going, "That's Gregory Hines." It was fantastic. It was wonderful. That was fun. And we talked a little bit, and we hugged it out, and then we celebrated. But that was fun.
So everybody doesn't know Gregory Hines was a great actor in the 1980s and 90s, and one of the funniest roles he had was in History of the World. Remember that? The Ethiopian Shimsham. Remember that in the History of the World, Mark?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need papyrus.
Yeah,
rolling papyrus. These are some of the things you get to do when you're professional athletes and meet some great actors as well. And John Bon Jovi, Gregory Hines. So you go into Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo was on fire that year. The best offense, first Super Bowl for the Bills. I've interviewed Jim Kelly. I've interviewed Ray Bentley, interviewed Marv Levy, and they all say if they would have won that one against you guys, maybe they would have won another one against Dallas, or I don't know about Washington, but maybe one against Dallas. But it was the best defense against the best offense. You guys held the ball for 40. Offense held the ball for 40 minutes. It scored 20 points. No penalties in the game. No turnovers as well. It was probably one of the most perfect games in NFL history. Talk about that and the intimidation, the defensive backs of the Giants laid on the Bills.
Well, when we fly from San Fran to Tampa, I'm gonna tell you that flight Man, look, we partied all the way to Tampa, from San Francisco all the way down. So we had a couple of libations, but I digress again. So we land in Tampa. We get to Tampa, and we're going to the hotel. Now, usually the teams got their team stuff around the hotel, but the NFL already crowned San Fran the champions. As we're pulling up, they're taking San Fran stuff down, putting just NFL logo banners up instead of giant banners. We saw that. We saw that the league already thought San Fran was going to be there. So we get there. There were no giant stuff laid up there anyway. So we get there in the hotel. We do our stuff, have our meetings as the week progressed. And the funny, I won't say funny, but one of the things that I remember that really got our team defensively on the same page, we played Buffalo early that season. And when you watch, back in the day, you watch film, you have to watch cut-ups of certain plays. There's a play that it'll last 6 seconds, and then it goes to another play. So you can rewind it. Well, I remember when we try to watch cut-ups of the Buffalo Bills, that no-huddle offense, it was hard for us to really put it together as a defense to make checks and calls. Losing anybody, but it's the cadence on. We lost that game 17-13. We still felt we didn't feel in sync on the defensive side. So we're in the meetings in Tampa for the Super Bowl. So Bill Belichick, this is how smart this man is. So Bill Belichick goes, okay, this time we're going to watch the actual footage of the Buffalo no-huddle offense versus the Raiders in real time. So you can get your checks and calls when you do the motions and stuff. So first everybody's going, okay, all right. So we're watching on a big screen in our meeting room in the hotel. And all of a sudden you hear Dick Enberg and I think Merlinos is doing the game. And Buffalo's doing the plays. All of a sudden you hear somebody go, strong left. Motion, and everybody's making their calls. We put ourselves on the defensive side watching the game, watching in real time, getting the flow of the game. I thought that was genius. So we go to the game and we're, okay, cool, let's go. Boom, 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 boom. First Buffalo drive, 3 and out. When we played Buffalo the first time in the season, we had trouble communicating. They kind of moved the ball on us. We hemmed them up. It was unbelievable. And of course, the scheme that Belichick implemented in the system was great. But we really shut them down because we got our reads and checks down, and it worked out pretty damn well.
Things worked out well. Of course, we'll talk about the kick in a second. But when Thurman Thomas scored that touchdown to go ahead, did you think you guys still were going to come back and go ahead there, or did you think maybe this thing might be over? Because Thurman Thomas had a tremendous game, rushed for 134 yards.
Well, yeah, but that was part of the game plan. As I know you heard the story when you talked to other guys. One of the game plan was to let Thurman Thomas run for over 100 yards. And Belichick did say this. He goes, hey, for us to win, we have to let Thurman Thomas run for over 100 yards. Well, everybody was pissed, especially a lot of linebackers. Hey, man, no. We can't let that happen. Lawrence had a conniption, and Carl Banks went off and peppered it. These guys were, what? No. But, after a while, Bill was right. It was okay. He goes, guys, you got to buy in. You got to let this happen. We do that and be as physical as possible on these receivers. Cool. You got it. And that's what we did. And we were physical as all get out. I mean, that hit I put on Andre Reed, I had no business being over there because I'm a left corner. And the ball was come from Renee Thompson was on him in the slot, and he came from my right side and broke over the middle. I had on this receiver, I said, I'm not going to worry about you. And I just hauled over. And I just went fast as I could to try to blow Andre Reed up. And that was that. I had no business over there, but I made it happen. But that was our mindset. We let that happen. Now the question you asked was that touchdown that Thurman got on us. Do I think it was over? Yes, because that would have been my fault. I'm glad we came back and won because what happened, I was supposed to stay outside. I think it was Myron Guyton came from inside and hit Thurman. He bounced outside. I got inside too far inside, and I got pinned by James Lofton. And Thurman bounced outside and ran up outside, and I should have been there. If I would have stayed there, I would have made that tackle. Now, as they were driving again, the same play presented itself. Thurman ran the ball inside, and it was again Myron Guyton came inside, and this time I took a step inside, but I stayed outside, and I made that final tackle on Thurman Thomas before they kicked the field goal. If I would have jumped inside again, that's a touchdown. So you learn from your mistakes.
Right, you got my heart beating now because I'm reliving that game. I just broke into radio at the time. I was working at WNEW. Bob Papa was a studio host at the time. This is how far back we're going. 1990. I was 20 years old at the time, and I just remember watching the game and just being on edge. It was like watching a car race for 3 hours, literally. The final drive. What was the final drive? What was the idea? Force them to kick a field goal, obviously, keep them in front of you, right? And you guys must have been winded by then at that point too, just chasing.
Oh yeah, we were tired because, I mean, we're thinking. I know I was thinking. Okay, Buffalo had the ball I think on their 20-yard line or something. It had a long way to go, but they had time. So we're thinking, okay, let's just do the best we can. Let's make a tackle. And I know I was gassed because they kept running me deep. And that was one particular play. If you watch the game again, Jim Kelly is standing back there for seemed like 10 seconds. He's just sitting in the pocket, nowhere to throw it, and I'm chasing this guy all over the place. And then he runs the ball, but we tackle him. It was tiring, and they ran the ball, and as I said before, I made the last tackle before the field goal, which I find, and I'm kind of an analytical guy to a point. So I make the tackle on Thurman Thomas. I forget the yard line, maybe somewhere in the 30. So Buffalo wasn't to hurry up, and Jim Kelly takes a step back and spikes the ball. Well, he spikes the ball another 2 yards from where, if he just took a knee right behind the quarterback. If he doesn't take that step back, a yard or two back, well, if I don't make that tackle, if I don't make a tackle where I made the tackle, that field goal is probably good. Watch the film. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That tackle, I think I made it around the 30. I'm not sure, but it's around there. And Kelly takes the ball, he snaps the ball and spikes it another 2 yards. So the ball's moved back where he spiked it. The field goal is about a 47-yarder, I think. And he barely misses it by 2 yards.
What were you were you on the field?
A game of inches.
Were you on the field or were you on the sidelines when he went for the
No, I'm on the side. I was one of the guys who started praying that he missed it. I started the circle of prayer.
Were you watching or you turn your head?
I turned my back. The same thing I did in San Francisco. I did the same thing. Oh, come on, we can make it. I turned my back. I didn't watch it. Neither one.
And just talk about the euphoria of winning that, and really a culmination of the team. Really, it was kind of, in some ways, the beginning of the end for a lot of players. We're getting a little bit older. Parcells would leave after that. That had to be a shock to you guys that Parcells left.
Yeah, because we always talk, my former teammates, and as far as the getting older part, I think if Parcells would have came back or Belichick would have taken over, we could have done it again.
You mean
we could have done it again, or had a legitimate shot to do it?
You mean Ray Hanley wasn't the guy that was going to lead you guys again?
No,
I'm being sarcastic. I'm sorry, Mark.
It's all right. No, but I get what the Giants were doing, trying to keep it in the house. I get it. But Ray didn't have the same fire as the other two coaches. Um, but no, I get what the Giants are doing. I get it. But if Bill Parcells would have stayed or Belichick would have taken over, we would have had another legitimate shot to run it back, or at least get close to it.
All right, I got two more quick questions for you. Then we're going to open up to the students here, and you also made a comment this week about Lamar Jackson. First, Lawrence Taylor, the best defensive player of all time.
Hands down, no doubt.
Reggie
And I
White.
played
Reggie White.
with Reggie White in Green Bay. I played with Derek Thomas in Kansas City and Neil Smith. Lawrence Taylor never took a playoff. Never took a playoff. Every time he played, it was full speed.
I heard his threshold for pain was immeasurable.
Yeah. He played with a separated shoulder, and that dude was full speed, 24 hours a day doing it again. He was the greatest I've ever, the greatest football player probably played with.
Best quarterback: Montana, Marino, Elway, Kelly.
Oh, you got to give Montana the edge because Montana he did it. Only my opinion. He did it because he didn't look the part. Because if you didn't know Joe Montana, who's this guy? You ever seen the Guinness commercial he was in? He was in a Guinness commercial at a bar, and the guy is going. This guy says something. Joe Montana says something, and this other guy goes, "Yeah. Who are you?" Like this guy goes, "Okay." Joe goes, "Okay, sure, kid." He looks like the average guy. You would know, but I would say Montana in my era was the guy.
Let's bring it back to modern era. You made a comment about Lamar Jackson not just taking the plays from the sideline and not adjusting, not changing the calls and everything like that. How do you assess today's quarterbacks from when you played?
Well, back when I played, the quarterbacks call their own plays. Most of them call their own plays. I'm sure the offensive coordinator would give them a play to call, but they had the flexibility to change the play. And most quarterbacks did that. And most coaches trusted their quarterbacks. I'm pretty sure if you asked Phil Simms, Phil would give you the same answer. I know Joe Montana, when I was with him, my teammate in Kansas City, he was my teammate in Kansas City, he did it, and I know he did with the 49ers. Marino did it. Elway did it like crazy. But back in those days, those quarterbacks had the luxury to do it. So Lamar Jackson, listen, I'm not trying to diss the guy. Great athlete. But as a defensive guy, if I know a quarterback's not going to check out of a play or check into a play that fits what we're trying to do, it makes my job easier. All I know is I stop the deep ball, and we could blitz him like crazy because he's not going to check out of nothing, and we're going to get some hits on him. And that's what happens. And if you watch him compared to, I make this comparison, to a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, you watch those guys, they're checking all the time. You see Mahomes walk up, he'll look pointing at a linebacker. He goes, 23's coming. All this stuff. Lamar Jackson doesn't do that because he does. I'm not saying he can't read coverages. He can't read the formation of what defenses are doing yet. And to become an elite quarterback, you better know how to do it. Because if you don't, when you get to the playoffs, those tells show up against great coaches and great defenses and great players. Hey, this guy, he don't check. Oh, let's just do this. Let's do that. He's not going to check out of it. We'll get him all the time. Let's stop the deep ball. We'll get him. And this is what people don't understand. Why you can play checkers all you want during the season. You can go 14-2 or 15-2 or whatever, all you want. You get to the playoffs, those tails show up. You may got away during the regular season, but during the postseason, those tails show up. And that's why his record is what it is in the playoffs.
All right, let's go around for your students. Ask you a quick question here. Peter, let's start things off with you for Mark.
Sweet. So I am a Detroit Lions fan, and we obviously have a very aggressive head coach, particularly on fourth down. As a defensive player, do you like having that aggressive of a coach, or are you just always thinking like punt the ball away, kick the field goal, don't put us in a bad spot?
Yeah, of course. You want an aggressive coach as much as possible, but you want a smart coach as well. Like I said before, sometimes in the playoffs, sometimes you got to dial it back a little bit. I mean, you got to pick and choose your spots. One thing about the playoffs, Peter, is points are at a premium. And this is what Dan Campbell didn't understand. Because I don't know if you've ever been in a situation. Take the points. Throw the analytics out. Take the points because points at a premium. If you were taking at those 3 points, it's a whole different game. So, good question.
Go next to Ray Jarvis. Go ahead, Ray.
How you doing? Going back to your playing days, the NFC was murderer's row. Can you talk to
Yeah.
us? Well, talk to us about like what it was like going up against those Chicago's teams, the Redskins, the 49ers who were always in the conversation, you guys. Eventually the Cowboys got up into the conversation. What was it like during that time that the NFC was so rigorous to even make 2 Super Bowls? Like that had to be extremely difficult.
All right, great question. I'll tell you. Back in the day, and all the guys from NFC East, we still talk. And it was well known, if you could get out of the NFC East, you're going to win a Super Bowl. That's fact. We all said it. We all knew it. Now, we got to Washington got a couple, Dallas got theirs. That was just how it was because we're beating each other up. All the time we play, whether Chicago or the 49ers or whoever, oh, yeah, we good. We good with y'all. We all right. We'll handle this. But it was a tough conference, and we all respected each other. Philly finally got their just due. They got the rings, so it's good. The Cardinals never got in there, but even the Cardinals, that was no easy lunch. That was no free lunch. They were pretty physical, and that NFC East was awesome. Great question, Ray. Great question.
All right, thank you.
What was the line that Belichick said GTFB when you played Randall Cunningham?
Oh, get the bleep back because he could throw.
Yeah,
get the bleep back.
under talked about quarterback in his day was Randall Cunningham, tremendous athlete too. Let's go to Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah. So Bill Parcells once said you're the only quarterback who could guard Jerry Rice. I was like, just wondering what would you do that frustrated him, or what was something you did that other corners couldn't do, or maybe just didn't see in tape or whatever it was. And was that one of the best compliments you ever received in your football career?
Well, great question. What I purposely done against Jerry was to play him like nobody else played him. And you watch any film on Jerry Rice, he's getting these defensive backs just letting him run. And I'm going, well, okay, I'm strong. I'm going to be physical with him. And I'll get up there, bump and run. I'll do press spell. I'll start backing up. I'll quick jam him. I mix it up. So I try to be physical as possible. And I try to keep not just Jerry and Joe off the same page. Really, my job was to keep 3 people off the same page. Jerry, Joe Montana, and the offensive coordinator. So if I could get those guys off kilter, that makes my job easy. And if you watch some of the games that I played against Jerry Rice, you'll watch Joe Montana. As soon as he drops back, he don't even look at Jerry's side because he told me at one point when I was a teammate of his in Kansas City, he goes, "Man, you had Jerry all mixed up. He had him messed up." That's okay, cool. So that was my thing: be very physical, keep him just lost, and I think it worked out pretty well. Now, I'm not trying to say this is the greatest receiver in NFL history, so he is what he is. But I matched up well against him.
And you had some pretty good teams in Kansas City. James Hasty was also on that team on the defense that you were on. So
yeah.
Eric Thomas,
you're good.
Just didn't get there, but a hell of a team. Let's move on. Cherno, go ahead.
Hey Mark. I was just wondering, like, since you are a former Giants player, I was wondering, how do you feel about the state of the Giants right now, and what can they do to be better as a team as a whole?
God, Cheryl, is frustrating. It really is. It's so frustrating because the way, I mean, nowadays you can build a team with free agency. Within 2 years, you can be in contention. And it seems like the Giants, it's like always a year and a half behind everybody else. So you see the success in Detroit, right? And you go, okay, cool. You see the success in Kansas City has sustained it. You see San Francisco. You see what Philly's done. And you go, man, okay, what are we missing here? What are we missing? And I wish I had the answer. I hope Dable and Schoen are the ones to get it done. And I'm giving them a little leeway because what they did in Buffalo, that from there, they might get it done. But man, I don't know if Daniel Jones is the guy. I don't. I really don't. You know, he has his run, and we got a bunch of quarterbacks coming out. These 6 who could the Giants could get. I hope they get Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden Daniels. But we'll see what happens. I hope they fix it.
All right, let's move along quickly though. But they just wasted 3 years on Zach Wilson. We're looking at Daniel Jones going on his 4th year. Do you know right away if a quarterback has it or not? Just quick answer there.
Yes, you would know. You would, especially as defense, you would know.
Why don't the GMs know? Why don't the coaches know?
Because okay, Michael, some of these guys. One thing about the draft is not always about the best player. These teams pick players based on who they fall in love with. That's it. The Jets fell in love with Zach Wilson. Everybody who knew that. Listen, he's a good player. He ain't a first-round player. He's not. And San Francisco gets Brock Purdy as the last pick of the draft. Go figure. Figure it out. Oh.
Well, what was it? The GM of the Giants fell in full bloom love with Daniel Jones, so we have to live with that. Dan Capuano. Dan, you're next.
Hey, how's it going, Mark? Thanks for joining our class. I was curious about some of your experiences off the field. So I know you were a rep for the NFLPA, and now you're involved with some scouting. So how have those experiences what have you gotten out of those experiences?
Well, being an NFL rep, I was the lead NFL rep player personnel rep for 12 of my 13 years, and that's the elected position. So when you're voted to be the spokesman for your rank and file, that means something. That's a badge of honor to me. That tells me that my guys have faith in me to give them the truth about what's going on, which is fantastic. So that's leadership. And I've always been a leader, so that's nothing new to me. And as far as my recruiting service, it's an online recruiting service. We have student athletes get sports scholarships to colleges, all sports. And I used to go around a lot, speaking to a lot of schools, school districts, and do a lot of camps. So now, since everything's internet-based, I don't have to do it as much. But we just give people the opportunity for a chance, an opportunity for scholarship. And it works out pretty well because now I created a mobile profile, resume, if you will, where a student athlete can send an email to a school that fits their criteria instead of waiting for a school to tap you on the shoulder. Hey, we want you to go to our school, because there's some kids who don't get recruited. And there's some kids who don't have the GPA, go to Notre Dame or Stanford. And there's some schools out there where they're looking for athletes, whether it's NAIA or junior college. He's got to fit their criteria as well. So it works out pretty well. And I enjoy what I do. And I love playing golf. But on that, I digress.
Learn to play golf. It's a great networking tool, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Julius, go ahead, Julius.
First of all, thanks for joining us. Mike had already asked a question about Lawrence Taylor, but one thing I like when people try to compare players from back in the day to today's players. Is there anyone you could compare today to Lawrence Taylor? Is there someone you look at and you see flashes, or is he just one of a kind? He's just one of them.
Oh, he's one of a kind. And as I mentioned before, he doesn't come out of the game. He's not a situational guy. And I know everybody's trying to compare Michael Parsons to Lawrence, whatever. I get it. But you can't compare those guys to the guys now to the guys back then. It's a different animal. The rules are different. Everybody's different. Now everything now is situational. Lawrence Taylor never came out the field, so and I'll leave it there.
All right, who do we have left? Anthony, go ahead, Anthony.
Uh, uh, hey Mark, I just want to say it's awesome to meet you. I'm sort of a Giants fan, even though I don't really catch up. My question is, I guess basically, you're a legend at this point. What difference have you seen like from your time till now? Like, do you think NFL has improved at all, or do you think it's still the same?
No, Anthony, that's a great question. But I'll tell you, the NFL has changed quite a bit. The rules, for one, and I get they're trying to make the game safer, which in some parts it is. But I don't know. It's just a different game, but it's still the best game going. I love it. My boys are playing. My second oldest son is playing college ball at Murray State. The game is safer. I think the difference now, a bigger difference other than the rules. Not just talk about positions, and not talk about corner position. I think the style of cornerback play now is different because you got to play a lot of off. There's not a lot of physicality in it. There's no ownership in the game, and I'll get a little depth. I know we'll keep it short. When I played, when Deion played, when Darryl Green played, Everson Walls, Lester Hayes, Mike Haynes, ownership of that position. When you line up, you line up, you own it. You get beat, and man, you know what? I got beat. I own it. I don't see the pride in it. I see a lot of people talking, oh, this man, just shut up and play. Don't tell me you're the best. Prove it. Day in, day out. The guy that got in Kansas City, Ladarius Sneed, number 38, this dude has had a great year, gave up one touchdown just in the playoffs last week. That was something. Great question, Anthony.
Thank you.
You talk about ownership. I remember talking to the late Vida Blue, pitcher with the lefties. I don't know if you remember him, Mark and guys.
Yeah.
I was producing a show at the Hall of Fame years back up in Cooperstown, and he talked about players leaving the game, which is even more so now. He goes, I own that ball. That was they took ownership, like you said, ownership of the game,
Yep.
and you're not going to take this ball from me. So I think that is definitely lost in all sports, and you see it in the NBA, the management games and stuff like that. It's lost a little bit in the game, I think.
Well, it has. I mean, because now it's. I'm not going to try to poo-poo it. It's just things change. Sometimes change is good, but you gotta. You can still have entertainment out of it with ownership, and I just think the players just don't grasp the ownership of it. I don't want to be taken out of the game. I don't want to miss any games. I don't need to rest. I own this. I own this position. And LeBron James and these other guys, he gets a day off. What? A day off? No, man, let's go. But that's the way of the league, I guess.
Well, did I get to everybody here? Did everybody get a chance to talk to Mark? All right, that's Mark. I told you 15 or 20 minutes. We kept you an hour. I'm sorry, but it's great.
No, brother, you're good. You're good. Hey, Michael, let me tell you this story. I know we're gonna wrap this up real quick. Since you're a Jets fan,
no,
I got to tell you this story. So right before the 1986 draft, the Jets fly me out to Hempstead for a free meet and greet, whatever. So I fly out. They fly me out from LAX. I land in LaGuardia. Car picks me up, takes to the headquarters. They give me these jet shorts and shirts, and I go up there and backpedal and do whatever. About an hour or so, I'm out there talking to all the coaches. Then this lady goes, Mr. Hickey wants to talk to you in his office. Okay, cool. So I showered, and I go up to see Mike Hickey. Has this big desk, right? Huge. So I sit at his desk, and I sit down. I say, what's up? How you doing? He goes, hey, Mark, we worked you out, and We watched the film. He goes, we don't think you're Jets material. And I looked at this man. I went, and I don't swear, I'm a swear. I said, Mike, you could have told me that before I got on the plane. Why did you bring me? You could have saved me $500. That's crazy. Man, I got it. I got up, got in my car service, took it to the airport, flew back to California. That year, we always play the Jets in preseason. So the last preseason game, we play the Jets. And I'm returning kicks, opening kickoff. They kick it to me. I run it back 97 yards for a touchdown. So that's my Jet story. And I got to tell you, well, further on the story, that year we win the Super Bowl, obviously. So I guess Mike Hickey was right. I wasn't Jets material. I was Giants material.
Well, in defense of the Jets, you got to make Gastineau and Klecko were pretty good.
Yeah, but listen, that year, do you know?
Jets were 10-1. Started 10-1 last year, and they went 0-5 the rest of the year. That everybody got hurt.
Yeah, but they lost to Cleveland in the playoffs.
I remember that they were up 20
yeah.
to 10, 20 to 10.
But that year, yeah, and that year they cut every draft pick except Mike Haight that year.
And Mike Haight should have been cut, by the way. The Jets went through a bad period where they drafted bad players, and they lost the Roger Vick, Blair Thomas, Ron Farrow. Jets had a string of some bad years, man. You don't have to tell me. I was at their games for a bunch of years, but I went to a lot of Giant games because of my friends. So I appreciate all how you guys left it on the field and to watch a real team play. So, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, man, listen. Anytime, my brother. Anytime.
All right. We'll see you at the stadium. Thank you.